Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Town Council meeting, the first Town Council meeting. This is January 2nd, 2018, at the Winthrop High School Neil Shapiro Auditorium. Town Council meeting is being recorded for future telecast on WCAT. Call to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. Everyone's rise. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk will read the roll call, please.
Councilor Ingman. Here. Councilor Calla. Present. Councilor Christopher.
Here.
Councilor Terry.
Here.
Councilor Serto.
Here.
Councilor McDuffie.
Here.
Councilor Conti.
Here.
Vice President Boncory.
Here.
President Vecchia.
Present.
Thank you.
First order of business, the minutes approval for December 19, 2017.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
as a member of the past council, I make a motion to accept the minutes of December 19th.
Okay, second?
Second.
I hear a second? Yeah. Okay. Obviously, the newest members of the council cannot vote in the affirmative on this, so I'll take, should we do a roll call in that regard?
We can do a roll call for who is going to accept them.
Okay?
Okay. Councilor Ingman.
Yes.
Councilor Calla. Yes. Councilor Christopher.
Yes.
Councilor Terry.
Yes.
Vice President Boncory.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Second order of business is the election of vice president of the council. I'll open the floor to nominations.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Councilor Heather...
Hold on. Okay.
Oh, sorry, I thought I was acknowledged. I'd like to nominate Councilor Heather Engman to the slot of Vice President of the Council.
Okay.
I
Is
think...
there-
sorry.
Go ahead.
I think one common issue that many of us heard during the election was a desire for increased transparency on the council. I know that Councilor Engman is an expert in the open meeting law and can help us bring a lot of that information to the public for one of their most important issues. And I also think that it would be somewhat symbolic to sort of have a next generation of leadership take the realm, or the reins of the vice presidency.
Okay, thank you. Do I hear a second for Heather Engman?
I'll second Heather.
Okay, seconded. Any other nominations?
I'd
Councilor
like to
Calla.
nominate Councilor at-large Bill Boncory,
Bill Boncory.
and I also feel that he's had 12 years of experience on the council. I think he brings a lot to the table. I know that, he'd be able to help out along the way, should you need any help, which you may not. But, he is also an expert in a lot of different fields, and I nominate Bill Boncory.
Thank you, Councilor Calla. Do I have a second to Phil Boncory?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Christopher. Any other nominations? Hearing none, I will close the nominations, and we will do a roll call vote.
Councilor Ingman.
Heather Engman?
Councilor Calla.
Phil Boncory?
Councilor Christopher.
Phil Boncory.
Councilor Terry.
Heather Engman.
Councilor Serto.
Heather Ingman.
Councilor McDuffie.
Phil Boncory.
Councilor Conti.
Heather Engman.
Vice President Boncory.
Bill Boncory.
President Vecchia.
Phil Boncory.
Okay. Phil Boncory is Vice President.
Congratulations.
5 to 4.
Congratulations, Mr. Boncory.
Thank you. Thank you all very much.
Okay, the next order of business, I will give you the gavel. If you don't have.
Sorry.
The motion is by the council president. The town council accepts the appointments of the 2018 town council subcommittees made by the town council president, myself, Mr. Vecchia, or take any actions thereto. And this is the 2018 town council subcommittees. Finance, Councilor Terry, Chair. Councilor Christopher, Councilor LaConte. Rules and Ordinances, Councilor Boncory, Chair. Councilor Engman, Councilor LaConte. Public Safety, Councilor Calla, Chair. Councilor LaConte, Councilor Christopher. Public Works, Councilor McDuffie, Chair. Councilor Lettieri, Councilor Lucerto. Economic Development, Councilor Christopher, Chair. Councilor Lucerto, Councilor Ingman. Capital Assets, Councilor Ingman, Chairman. Councilor Lettieri, Councilor Calla. Appointments, Commissions, Committees, Councilor Lucerto, Chair. Councilor Boncory, Councilor McDuffie.
Is there a second to the motion to approve the council president's appointments?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, vote and so ordered. So approved.
Thank you, Councilor. Can I have the gavel?
Yeah, here's the gavel.
Public comment. Hearing none. Correspondence, I don't believe we have any. Town Manager's report.
Since I'm losing my voice, I'm just going to flick the mic on. Winter storm preparations, we had a meeting this afternoon on Thursday's impending snowstorm, starting Thursday a.m. around 2 a.m. Myself, Steve Calla, DPW Director, Chief Flanagan, Chief Goodwin, and the Superintendent of Schools with Joe Domalovitz, my secretary, Mike DeLuiso from parking, met. The town is in good hands with DPW Director's leadership. The salters have been acquired by Caruso Construction. We have operating under a contract for 2 salters, 6-wheel salters, that are able to cover the town. MWRA's commitment still is there if we need additional salt. But the 2 salters is what we normally operate on. So this storm will be no different. Those Caruso Construction trucks will also have plows on them. We did use best practices on the 30B, even though we're not required to put this out to bid or get quotes. We did ask 4 companies for quotes. Only one was able to respond positively that they could service the town, which was Caruso. So we did do our due diligence and best practices, even though not required under the law. We'll be monitoring the storm all day tomorrow. We expect our last updates before making critical decisions based on Thursday and Friday around 3 p.m. So shortly after 3 p.m., there'll be announcements coming out from the town manager's office as to if there's a parking ban that's necessary, when it will go into effect. Our hopes is to call it earlier and have those lights on when people come home from work, so they're not getting bamboozled at 2 in the morning or 11 o'clock at night. They know when they come into town, they see the blue lights on, don't park on the street, even though the parking ban might be after midnight. Early warnings for people is to reduce and hopefully eliminate the need for tagging and towing, which is always our last option, but necessary under these bigger storms. So I'll also be away the next 3 days. I'll be in town monitoring from my residence. I'm on 3 vacation days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Joe Domalovitz, I've made proper notice to the clerk's office to take over in my absence. However, I will still be in contact with Joe and our public safety team throughout the storm. And if necessary, I'll come in as needed to meet. The superintendent will make her final decisions as she sees fit after the 3 o'clock meeting tomorrow in my office. We'll be doing a press release shortly next week on the peer recovery coaches and clinical services who have been successfully moved into the E.B. Newton first floor. Their computers have been set up, their phone lines are activated. So we want to get out to the public that there has been a move, and this is where they can be contacted by phone, email, or walk-ins on the first floor of the E.B. Newton School. So Deanna Fretcher is leading that up, and we'll have a press release out shortly on that. I urge the council to continue consideration in making the council clerk position a full-time position, using existing funds and giving her the responsibility of tracking all the subcommittees and committees that we have, making sure the minutes are being posted, the agendas are being posted. This is, I believe, a critical gap that we have in government at this particular point. We believe it's the best choice would be the council clerk because she is at the discretion of the council, she's supervised by the council, and so are the committees. supervised and at the council's discretion called in before the council. So it will have a seamless gap between the committee and the councils and the town manager's office and the council. Denise has done a tremendous job as council clerk, and now is the time to reorganize. I think we can do this with existing funds and separate and have her into an individual office if the council so chooses to move in that direction. But I would certainly urge the council to consider that at their next meeting. And we can add to the job description as necessary, and certainly it'd be a non-union confidential position, which she should be as it is now, because she's in executive sessions when talking about critical and important matters that shouldn't be part of the union employee position. The Center Business District zoning and variance analysis, we've come a long way with that. We're comfortable that we'll be in the attorney's hands and the planner's hands next week. Our research has brought us back to 1922, and we're still moving. We got a gap in the report between 1987 and 1922. So we're going through each annual report, annual town meeting, and articles at each and every annual town meeting from 1922 to 1987, and I believe the results of the analysis will be very pleasing to the public as well as the council. We have 1987, the Center Business District was adopted, but it referred back to the business district. So in 1987, the annual town meeting said we adopt the Center Business District, and anything that was considered business district is now the Center Business District. So there was a map that was mentioned in 1987, the proposed February 2nd map of 1987. Mr. Dimes assisted me in finding and locating that proposed map because we couldn't find it originally. So we're working with people in the community that might be in the know when these things took place. So we'll have a complete analysis and report coming forward. We hope to deliver it to the council on the 19th. And then make it publicly available on the 19th, right after the meeting, for people to view and meet with anyone that wants to meet, especially those who would come to all our meetings concerned about their property lines, and if they were in inside those zones or outside those zones. I just want to also make notification to the council that 5056 Somerset Ave has sent a letter to the planning board for a pre-submittal review under the Center Business Zoning Ordinance. We represented to the community that at the time they asked us, there was no submittal. There has now been a pre-submittal of 50 to 56 Somerset Ave. I've asked the planning board to work with the planner to assure the pre-submittal, everything is covered in the pre-submittal, and then I'll also ask the planner to work with the precinct, a counselor in the precinct, to make sure that they understand the process. They understand their rights, as well as the person who wants to develop understands their rights, to make it a more streamlined process, less contentious. I think we certainly can achieve by this process with the planner. The parts for the DPW fuel pumps have been received. However, due to the weather and cold conditions, we are not able to make those repairs to that pump, the gas pump. So we are now currently being gassed by Gulf, which is Cumberland Farms. The town has acquired credit cards issued to certain department heads that will make sure that vehicles will continue to be fueled. I asked the CFO and the DPW director to do a financial analysis on what we were buying gas for and what we're being sold gas for at Gulf to make sure that the gas lines stay within check. But the ground is too frozen. They cannot penetrate the ground at this point to make those repairs. So as soon as we do get some break in the weather, we'll certainly get right on top of that. It's always easier for us to fuel our own vehicles than to wait in line at a gas station to fuel them. But the contingency plan moving forward was to keep these gas cards activated in case there's another event like this. We have one gas pump in town that fuels the DPW, fire, police, the senior center, the school buses, everyone. So certainly it's not cost efficient to add another gas pump, or else we would have done that as well. I also would urge the council to give me direction under a policy decision of the council on Miller's Field. Myself and the superintendent met on vacation week, Christmas vacation week, And over several different matters, and this is one particular matter that did come up, is what is the will of the council? Do we want to retain the field as a town property, or do we return that field to the school department for their control and their supervision? And then, of course, we have two different philosophical differences, myself and the superintendent. I think, you know, if we're gonna do this, let's get the contractors in March and get the field done and get the concession stand done, and then fully turn it over. We're gonna turn it over, because we need to do that if it's going back to the schools. Because otherwise, we have two custodians. We can't turn it over until it's complete, because I gotta sign off as the person in charge of the town manager, contracting with Gilbane. She doesn't have that authority under the contract. So if we turn it over earlier, then it's not done. We're gonna waive some of our rights that we don't wanna waive on warranties and so forth. So it has to be strategically done as well, if we're gonna do it. So this is a big issue right now. I know everyone's saying, well, spring is so far away because it's been so cold. People are trying to book this field now for the spring. Baseball, soccer teams, lacrosse teams, and other sports that are gonna be using this particular field are already starting to book it, and the schools are starting to book it for their teams as well. So I want to be fully transparent with the superintendent and certainly with the public, but certainly we want to get this field done and get it off our plate one way or another. And if we're going to keep it and retain it, I need to know that so we can start working on plans on how the town's going to operate it. And if we're not, then Lisa, I know Superintendent Howard, as well as the athletic director, have been working on plans, if they take it over, how they're going to manage that. And so, of course, that will be within the council's discretion on how we want to proceed. It is certainly a policy decision. Basement freeze-ups, the DPW director has asked me to remind people to keep their basements warm. He's gotten a lot of calls in the past week and a half about freeze-ups in people's basements. Some basements are not hot enough, so they might have to use some space heaters, but of course keep it away from the flammables or any clutter that is in the basement to prevent these freeze-ups. So please, I know we pushed out a message on Facebook and Twitter today about these freeze-ups, and then I know Chief Flanagan has also pushed out winter warnings of winter time, and we should follow those winter warnings from the fire chief to make sure that they're safe. No space heaters should be used while people are sleeping, of course. They should be monitoring those space heaters. If they are using space heaters, it's never a preferred way to go. There's also, electric tape that is heated tape that they can use for pipe wrapping inside the basements, and then insulation over it. I know that all too well because I had to do that last week myself to one of my pipes. So there's other ways other than space heaters that they can heat these pipes to keep them thawed and keep their water flowing. Leave them on trickle is another great technique to make sure that it's dripping throughout the night so that there's a chance to freeze up. So if you have neighbors and certainly elders next door to you or across the street from you, we ask, especially during this really cold, freezing time, that you check on your neighbors. If you see a build up a meal, someone should be checking on them to make sure they're okay. There are oftentimes seniors are housebound during these cold storms and winter storms. We're expecting 8 to 12 inches on Thursday, so be kind to your neighbor and help them out if they need assistance or help. And that would conclude my report for tonight.
Terry, could you, go ahead, Council.
Yeah, Terry, just wanted to ask you if you got any word on the impending northeaster and the flood, coastal flooding that's coming with it.
Yeah.
And what preparations do we have for that? I know that we've made the bank of sand up on Euro Beach.
Euro Beach, I was
usually
informed
gets
today.
right around there.
Yeah,
And-
after the storm, we might have to maintain that. Certainly, there's a high winds, 65 miles an hour, high tide over 2 feet of our normal high tide.
Yeah, I think they said something about 12 to 14 feet high tide, that's why I wanted to...
Over 2 feet of our average high tide, right, Chief?
Well, we're almost 3 feet over our average tide due to astronomically tide. Then you're calling for 2.6-foot storm surge. The advantage we have is the storm's going to start cranking up. The 12:36 tide on Thursday is our troublesome tide. The wind will be in the north before the tide comes back at night. So it will be blowing parallel to the coast, so we're not concerned that tide is much smaller.
As the day.
Right now, I did put a call into the DCR too, because at the top of Cutler Street and a few other locations, due to construction, they haven't put the boards in. So we're trying to get the boards put in.
Are we gonna put a fire engine or an ambulance at the Point Shirley Association like we usually do?
If it appears to be necessary and needed, of course, during the storm, the Chief Flanagan is on the road, as well as the Deputy Chief will be on the road, and more likely myself to adjust those plans. And of course, if it looks like we're going to flood out on the 101 Beacon in Tewksbury, where we normally do our Euro Beach, then we would put resources on the other side of that flood.
No, we need to do that.
Just,
Yeah.
if you, Mr. Manager, don't mind, very often the MRC always calls and says, we're gonna put everybody on standby to open a shelter, and we always tell them, especially yourself, Mr. Boncory, from the point, how nobody ever evacuates. Because normally after a nor'easter, we're dealing with 35 degrees, 33 degrees, the sun's out, it's beautiful. The temperature on Saturday night is supposed to be actual temperature 7 below, with wind chills at 35 below. So we're quite concerned. We have spoke to the faculty of the middle school, and we are preparing to have a shelter if needed.
In the middle school.
And we'll get that information out to the residents.
And of course, it depends if we get a light fluffy snow or a heavy snow. Electrical wires will be more susceptible in these high winds with the heavy wet snow. So we're hoping for a nice fluffy snow where it's so cold to relieve the power lines of those strains. But we'll be monitoring those as well.
Terry, in respect to the clerk's position?
Yes.
Expansion, could you put that on the next agenda and also circulate information to the councilors relative to job description and kind of an outline?
Sure, yeah, the HR director and Denise have been working on that, so we'll be happy to circulate that as a draft.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Terry, could you just clarify that a little bit about the gas pump? Were you saying that when you do the repairs, you're going to add a second?
No, we wish we could, but it's just not financially feasible to add a second. And that's why we have the redundancy plan of the Gulf gas cards to continue as a backup in case the pumps do go down again in the future. So we had to kind of scramble on this particular time. We didn't have a redundancy in place to service us. So we were hitting different gas stations at different times, and now we have a contract with Gulf under their credit services that the direct payments coming from the financial department. So we'll keep that in place even after we repair the pumps.
As a contingency.
As our contingency and redundancy of service.
Do they have diesel there too?
They do have diesel, yes. Oh, wait a second. I'm sorry, Steve?
Determined today that they don't have diesel, but it's any Gulf, so, talking to the chief, if they have to go to Route 16, the Gulf station over there, they have the capability to go to any Gulf station. And I can also reach out to Vogel, who we purchase our diesel fuel from, to see if they can go right over to Chelsea and fuel up directly there.
And the diesel wasn't out at the beginning of this,
The diesel's still on, it's still on.
Oh,
but when we dig, it'll go out. So they have to take it offline when they dig to replace the parts.
got it.
So we'll have a plan in place for that.
In regards to the Center Business District infrastructure overhaul, I know we're talking a couple months away, but when might we be able to expect like any type of schedule of when anything is going to be happening, or just so that people can prepare for any road closures or anything else that's going to happen in the center?
Sure, right now we're looking at least July. Again, we're getting funding in place for that. We have $5 million secured funding. We have borrowing to do. And before we allocate funds to those the borrowings that we have to do, we want to make sure what's available and how we're going to pay for that. That's an exercise we're going through now. We are going to apply for the $5 million, $4.292 million loan from the state, which is lower than the bond rate that we can get. It's at 2% over 20 years. So we're looking at that, but we're doing that financial analysis now, and we'll report to the council on how we're going to pay for this. Or the subcommittee that the council is choosing, whenever they choose to go over the details of who we're borrowing from, how much it's going to cost the taxpayer, and can we afford to pay it. Certainly concerns, and just while we're talking finances, my memo went out to department heads yesterday on the upcoming budget, to have their budgets in my office by the third week of January, much earlier than we've had last year. We hope to have drafts out of my office by the end of February. Of course, the school is the exception in that, because they have their own process and they can be voted at school committee and then come over to us. But I think we should be well on the way to where we are on the town side, which tells us how much more fluidity that we have on paying for some of these bond services.
Any other comments, questions? No? Thank you, Terry. School department update, there hasn't been a meeting. I should stand corrected, we just had a quick meeting. The school committee met to appoint a chair, or elect a chair and a vice chair. Tino Capabianco is the chair, and Brian Perrin is the vice chair. We also have a meeting scheduled, a joint meeting scheduled for the 16th. I think it's going to be before our regularly scheduled council meeting, the joint meeting to fill the position that I once had.
Mr. President, what time would you like that, 6:30? Or do you want 6?
I think they already posted a meeting, I'm not sure. There's, hopefully, is it 6?
The
Did they post one
joint
already?
meeting's going to be called by the president.
But I think, okay, it's our meeting, 6:30.
Denise, 6:30?
6:30
Yep.
on...
And then we'll have our regular meeting at 7?
Yep.
Okay, very good. Old business, town council establish a public safety committee, feasibility public safety building complex committee. Chief Flanagan, would you like to speak on that? You told us to kind of table this to the next meeting?
I was speaking with Monica Ford today, and all of the proposals and the spiral plans of what the companies who were going to bid on it came into her office over the holiday. We're going to pick them out and distribute them, at least to the chiefs and a couple to the council. So our plan was if we could sit with the council president and discuss it and have it on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay. But if I stand corrected, Terry, there's going to be residents that can apply to be on this committee? Are there going to be seats
Yeah,
open?
that's, they've received some interest, I believe at least one, I should say at least one person interested in serving on that committee so far.
Do we know how many openings there are going to be for at-large or
We haven't set it
citizens?
up.
I think there's just...
We need to vote on whether it's going to be a 9-member committee or whether it's going to be
Okay,
7.
so we'll table this to the next meeting, okay?
I think we should go with 9.
Okay. New business, vote to extend the interim town manager, Terry Delahanty, his term, I think, are you done yet, or?
I'm
got a couple of
expired
days?
as we sit here today. I'm in Boston right now.
So, now, by statute, do we have to do 30 days or 90 days?
90 days renewable, 90-day terms. You can do less than 90, but you can't go over 90.
Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll entertain a motion
I'll
that we
second.
reappoint Chief Terrence Delahanty as acting town manager, or interim town manager for the next 90 days. I think that's the most we can do by law right now.
Motion by Mr. Boncory, do I hear a second?
Second.
Mr. Lettieri? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Welcome back, Mr. Delahanty. Public comment. Everybody left. Hearing none. Public relations, there's the MMA meeting. I would assume that some of our members are going. That goes from the 19th and the 20th in Boston. And January 27, 2018 at 7 p.m. at the Cottage Park Yacht Club, the Chamber of Commerce Award Ceremony and Kickoff Dinner. For more information, you can call the Chamber for tickets. Again, that's January 27th at 7 p.m. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn. So moved. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Great first.